Howdy, 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 how you doing? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm hoping this is the first of a long series of video game lore explorations. So please, sit down, relax, and come with me and follow my voice as we enter deep into the fog. Ace Visconti. Ace Visconti is one charming guy with his sharp Italian looks. Gray streaked hair and silver tongue, he could pass for an aging 50s movie star. His heart has always belonged to the cards. From his roots as a poor boy in Argentina, he gambled, scammed, seduced, and smooth-talked his way to a life of luxury as a high roller in the land of opportunity. Despite money always having a way of slipping through his fingers, Ace always figured he could win more. He never fulfilled that ambition. Eventually, he racked up too many debts with the wrong kind of people, and when they finally came to collect, Ace was nowhere to be found. No one knew who tipped him off or where he had fled to, but anyone who knew Ace Visconti can agree on one thing: he will survive against all odds. Memory 2478. Ace rushes into Uh-Oh Sports Bar, still pumped with the excitement of the mixed martial arts title defense he just won. Female lightweight MMA champion Mika James knocked the challenger out in the first round, and now Ace is ready for another thrill. He sits with his buddy Wallace. Did I miss anything? Wallace shakes his head. Nah, they're preparing the bowl now. Ace laughs out loud. Hilarious. This guy's gonna try swallow a bowl of slugs. Only at Uh-Oh's would they hold such a ridiculous bet. Wallace nudges Ace and levels a wager. 10-1, he pukes it out. Ace looks at the idiot and the bowl of living slugs in front of him. His instincts tell him this guy's actually gonna do it. Ace just cleaned Wallace out at the MMA fight, and he doesn't mind taking more of his money. Ace scrutinizes the idiot just to make sure his gut isn't leading him astray. Most people would puke trying to swallow the first slug, but not this guy. This guy knows what he's doing. He's a winning horse, a sure thing. Alright, let's say double our last bet. Wallace nods and assures him he's gonna lose. Ace smirks. We'll see about that. As he stares beyond the idiot preparing to swallow slugs, he's amazed to see Mika James at the bar in her signature tracksuit. They exchange a look. He points at his fan shirt and extends a thumbs up for a great title defense, but she looks past him as she nurses a beer. Wallace sees Mika and nudges Ace. She could kick your ass in 2 licks. Ace scoffs. That's a bet you would lose, asshole. I'm double her size and strength. Wallace snickers. I say you don't last 10 minutes. Nah, you wouldn't even last 5 minutes. Wallace is talking shit just to talk shit. Before Ace can respond, a bell sounds and everyone goes silent as the idiot lifts the bowl of thick, moist slugs to his trembling lips. Ace stops breathing, narrows his gaze, pulls out his lucky alligator tooth, holds it in his fist, and just knows he's got a winner. In a few short minutes, he'll be laughing all the way to the bank. Come on, idiot. Just swallow those slugs. Memory 2479. Ace doesn't understand what happened. He had Wallace dead to rights. His winning horse confidently slurped down the slugs one at a time as though we were enjoying a bowl of fresh sushi. Then he stops, with the last one dangling out of his mouth. Cocky little shit. He smiles and swallows, but the damn slug doesn't go down, not as he had planned. Ace can see a lump oozing and squirming down his throat. It slithers down. It must have tickled his gag reflex or something, because he instantly loses his smile. There's a silence. The idiot begins to squirm uncomfortably in his seat. The crowd goes, uh-oh. And all of a sudden, a projectile slug chum shoots out of his mouth, and Ace hangs his head, realizing he had just lost everything. Wallace laughs out loud and slaps his back. Told you so. Ace doesn't say anything. Tell you what, double or nothing. If you last 5 minutes with Mika James. Ace stares up at Wallace. What's in it for you? Wallace narrows his gaze. You're a lucky alligator's tooth. Ace hesitates. Wallace smiles. What? Thought you were double her size and stronger. Ace looks at Mika, at Wallace, and at Mika back again. I'll knock her out in 2 minutes, then buy her a drink. Wallace smiles, stands, and heads over to the manager of the club to make the arrangements. Ace stands and figures he may as well introduce himself to the champ. Memory 2480. What the hell was I thinking? Ace staggers to his wobbly feet. Oh yeah, I wasn't. Mika steps towards him. He throws a desperate right. She ducks with a grin. He follows with a left. She sidesteps and he sees black and a few stars fading in and out of existence. What the hell did she hit me with? He doesn't know. All he knows is he's on his ass again, and his eyelids feel like cement. He forces them open and stares up at the timer. 30 seconds. How can that just be 30 seconds? Either the timer's rigged or time itself is slowed down to an impossible crawl. Shit. I'm in trouble, but I ain't losing my lucky gator's tooth. He doesn't know much right now, but he knows Mika's got him outclassed in every way except guts and luck. Ace stands on his wobbly legs and smiles at one of the dozen Mikas swirling around him. He regards a dozen clocks, narrows his gaze, and calculates. 4 more minutes. I can do this. Memory 2481. The crowd is hollering and jeering. Fight! 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 Ace stares at the timer and is relieved to pass the 2-minute mark. Only 3 minutes to go. He just wants to last and is completely given up on the idea of knocking Mika out. He'll be happy if he can land just one punch. He thinks he might need to grab her hair and punch below the belt just to get her to back off. But she moves faster than his eyes can track, and he's convinced his feet are turning to spaghetti. She stares at him like a hungry tiger and throws a roundhouse kick. He ducks, laughs just as he feels her hand knit over his head and her wicked knee in his face. A moment later, he's on the ground, swirling in a pool of stars, with the crowd giving him a count in unison. He's up at 5 with a fat lip and a pathetic smile. Memory 2489. Minutes don't feel like minutes. They feel like hours, days. 3 minutes, and Ace wants to throw in the towel, but his pride won't let him. His common sense is telling him to quit before she breaks another rib. He gets the sense he won't be laughing to the bank, but in the hospital. But he can't give up. He won't give up, and he certainly won't lose this bet. He's gonna win even if winning kills him. For a moment, he half remembers a quote about sitting on a stove with a pretty girl, or a pretty girl cooking at the stove, or something about a pretty girl on a stove. He's getting it all wrong, but he knows it has something to do with time. Mika smashes a fist straight into his puffy face, and he staggers back and nearly buckles over. He manages to keep his balance and tries to smile. Just as soon as his lips part, he somehow finds himself on the hard floor, staring at a crowd that seems miles away, laughing as they give him a count in unison. He rolls on his belly and pushes himself up, groggy and spaghetti-kneed. It's gonna take a lot more than that to keep me down. Memory 2483. 2 rights and a nose that's already broken. She clearly doesn't want to lose. She wants to knock him out, but that won't happen. Ace won't let it happen. Outclassed in every way except guts, he clambered to his feet. He tries to smile at her. That didn't hurt, but it did. It really did. Before his smile breaks, he finds himself in a headlock. Shit, she's fast. Mika twirls him around like a sack of potatoes and thrusts him into a table. The table breaks. So does something in his chest. He thinks a rib, but he didn't think he had any more of those to be broken. He gets up, manages a grin, and charges her. Grabs her rock-hard arms, pins her to the wall. A surge of adrenaline fills his entire being. He's got her now. He shoots his fist out at her face. She drops to the side, and he shatters his hand against the stone wall as he feels her lift him off the ground. A moment later, she twirls and throws him into the crowd with his broken hand swelling and throbbing with every heartbeat. The crowd scatters, and lets him fall hard on the ground. Something cracks. He hopes it's not a bone. Everything is distorted. He feels like he's underwater, listening to a muted crowd hollering for him to get back up or stay down. He can't quite tell anymore. He stands and stares at the timer, feels a sharp pain in his mouth, and senses an awkward gap. My tooth. My fucking tooth. He looks around the floor and sees his front teeth lying in a glob of blood and saliva. It's still attached to the roots. He glances over the amused and entertained crowd and finds Wallace looking pale and frightened as Mika suddenly cuts through him like Chaffee. Memory 2484. Ace dives under the table for refuge as Mika grabs him by the ankle and pulls him out. She lifts him over her head, twirls him, and breaks him against another table. He stands, turns to face her, shakes his head until he clears his vision. He lurches and throws a left at one of the three faces he sees. Mika ducks and delivers a slashing right hook to the body, then drops him with a devastating left hook. He rolls over to the ground wheezing, feeling his jarred and jutting ribs. He probably should be dead. He doesn't even want to think about the hospital bill. Hospital? He doesn't need a hospital. He hasn't seen a doctor in 10 years and certainly doesn't need one now. His body can heal on its own. He pushes himself up, but doesn't feel much below the waist. He shoots a weak punch with his good hand. Mika grabs his fist midair and crushes his fingers into a mangled mush. Mercilessly, she grabs his arm and pops his elbow. He screams with blood gurgling out of his mouth. She wants him down, even if it means killing him. Ace suddenly realizes Mika made her own bet. His entire body floods with endorphins as he wobbles around a spinning floor. A glance at the timer reveals he's only got 20 seconds left. He's gonna win, even if he loses every bone in his body. What more can this kitten do to me? He clambers back to his feet and smiles with blood gushing out of his mouth. She charges him like a wildcat and is a whirlwind of devastating blows. He's hit a dozen times and flattened with a wicked uppercut. The crowd is screaming and hollering for Mika to lay him out for good. But Ace won't lose this gator tooth, even if it costs him his real tooth. Seconds pass like minutes. The bell sounds. It's over. It's finally over. Ace collapses. Wallace stares down at him with a newfound respect and a wad of cash in his hand. Ace stares at the money and manages to mumble something. You bastard. You bet on me. Wallace pulls Ace up and hands him his tooth. Put this in your mouth to keep the nerves moist. Keep them there until we reach the hospital. That one's for the bucks, buddy. Ace shakes his head. I'm good. I don't need a doctor. Wallace laughs incredulously. Dude, you need a doctor, a dentist, and a fucking shrink. The Hag. Lisa Sherwood grew up in a quiet village, mainly isolated from the rest of civilization. The people of the hamlet were kind, and the elders kept old traditions alive, often keeping the peace by personally settling the ever-rare disputes. Lisa was particularly fond of charms they taught her to draw for safety and good fortune. One night, as she was walking home through the woods, a terrible storm struck without warning. Howling winds whipped at her hair as she stumbled through the swamp. Her rain-drenched dress plastered her skin. In the slick, wet mud she lost her footing, careening backwards and striking her head against a rock. Slipping in and out of consciousness, she strained to identify the dark shapes approaching her from between the forests. That's the last thing she could remember. Her kidnappers kept her chained to the wall in a flooded cellar. Though dimly lit, she could see others whose large open wounds swarmed with flies. It took merely a day before they returned, carving chunks from the prisoners' bodies with rusted blades, consuming their flesh down to the bone. Most she saw did not survive long once the cannibals targeted them, but somehow, deep within, Lisa persisted. Starved, infected, and mutilated after several weeks of torture, her gaunt arms became loose in their shackles. She pulled hard, the metal tearing through skin and muscle until she was free. Her flesh oozed viscous yellow pus, and bones were visible beneath gangrenous wounds. She could go no further. Delirious, she thought of home. She thought of the elders. With her dying breath, she etched the symbol they had taught her into the floor, using what remained of her fingers. Almost in response, a dark hunger stirred inside her. It yearned for blood. In oath, she chose vengeance. The village's search party eventually brought them to an old shack in a swamp. Inside, its previous inhabitants had been viciously dismembered and devoured by an unidentifiable animal. In the cellar, amid rotting corpses and disconnected flesh, the elder's charms were scrawled in blood on the floor. Lisa's body was not among the bodies and was never found. The village was never the same again. Memory 1702. Don't play with powers you don't understand. Lisa's grandmother scolds her for scratching a symbol into her textbook for good luck. Lisa apologizes for snooping through her things. She just wanted to know more about the old village town and the stories of witches and cannibals that were burned alive or chased out. She heard her mother say her grandmother had come across several books written in an unknown language with strange symbols. Her grandmother warned her to stay away from her books. You can attract great misfortune to yourself and others. Lisa wants to laugh, but doesn't. She was just messing around and doesn't really believe in all this superstitious nonsense. No such thing as witches and cannibals, Gran. I was just hoping for a little luck on my algebra test. No harm, no foul. Her grandmother tells her the symbol she sketched was the very one she had used long ago to turn a cannibal into a gnarled, twisted swamp tree covered in putrid black ooze. It's so ridiculous Lisa wants to burst out laughing, but she contains herself as she listens to her tale of cannibals and missing children. When her grandmother finishes her story, Lisa hugs her and kisses her soft, wrinkled forehead. Don't worry, Gran. I'm not going to turn into a swamp tree or be kidnapped by a bunch of cannibals. Memory 1703. Lisa doesn't know if it's the symbols on her book or some kind of placebo effect, but her math scores are improving. Not as much as they should be, but still passing. And passing is an improvement. Her friend, Pam, says it's all malarkey. There's no such thing as lucky symbols that can raise your grade. It's all smoke and mirrors, unfounded ancient superstition. Jokingly, Pam says she wants better marks too. She grabs Lisa's textbook and copies the symbol in her school agenda several times. Lisa feels a tug in her gut, and she stares at the symbol with concern. You really shouldn't do that. She yanks her textbook back from Pam. You shouldn't mess with powers you don't understand. Pam laughs. What's the problem, Lisa? These things can help you pass math. They can help me pass English too. No big deal. Memory 1704. Pam begs for another symbol or charm to help her out on a test she isn't ready for with a teacher she despises. a teacher she ridicules for being an overweight, pill-popping bore. Lisa refuses to entertain the idea and tells her she's not allowed to look at her grandmother's secret book, let alone share its contents with strangers. Pam shrugs and proceeds to scratch a symbol on her arm with a toothpick. She asks if Lisa heard what happened to the woman near the school. Lisa shakes her head. Pam laughs as she draws blood with the toothpick. The dumbass walked into the street while reading and splat! Crushed by a truck. Come. She flicks the toothpick to the ground, grabs Lisa's wrist, and leads her to a road a few blocks from the school. Lisa covers her nose and can smell the fermenting human fluids in the cracks of the pavement. Pam points out bloodstains and clumps of hair in the road and makes jokes at the dead girl's expense. Lisa grabs her wrist angrily. You mustn't laugh at the dead. Pam yanks her wrist away. Stop being creepy, Lisa. It's not like she's still around to get offended. Besides, your symbols got me covered with all kinds of luck. Lisa stares at Pam's arm with concern and hopes the dead girl's spirits didn't take offense. Her grandmother says sometimes spirits linger, especially when they don't want to be dead. Last thing she needs is some dark force following her for the rest of her life. Memory 1705. Pam's English teacher died of unknown causes, and Pam's dancing with joy, relieved she doesn't have to do the stupid test on some irrelevant dead author. I don't care what English teachers say. James is unreadable and confusing, a pseudo-intellectual who kept everything vague because he didn't actually know what the hell he was talking about. Lisa shrugs, disagrees, but doesn't want to get into it with her friend, her annoying friend. She likes his books, the way his style allows her to live in his character's head for a little while. She finds his novel about an artist to be a fun, formless, dreamlike stew with plenty of style and substance. But what she does know, she's only 16, and her English marks are below average. Pam hoots and hollers, and with a mischievous smile she reveals a hand covered with ink smudged symbols. Best luck in the world. No test, no lard ass, no dead authors for the rest of the year. Thanks, Lisa. Lisa stares at the symbol on her hand and wants to yell at her for being so careless with things they don't fully understand. She closes her eyes and hopes her English teacher wants to be dead and that he isn't lurking about. Memory 1706. The class is at the funeral out of respect for their beloved English teacher. The pallbearers struggle and strain under the weight of the coffin. Pam leans toward Lisa and whispered how lucky she is, and how unlucky the poor pallbearers are to lift such a heavy coffin. Imagine having to carry that lard ass to his grave. Lisa nudges Pam and tells her to quit it. As the pallbearers approach them, she feels a sudden tug in her gut. An instinct tells her to take some distance from her friend. An image of lightning striking Pam flashes through her head. She wonders if an angry spirit could make that happen. Every muscle, organ, vessel fried in an instant for her hubris. Pam snaps Lisa out of her thoughts with another tactless comment. Lisa hears her grandmother's voice in her head, telling her that her friend has tempted fate by laughing at someone else's misfortune, for having laughed at the dead. She doesn't really believe in all her grandmother's superstitions, and yet she inches away from her friend, staring at the darkening clouds waiting for lightning to strike Pam down.